So whatever you see on the screen is about, is about 20 seconds behind, and it's kind of distracting. So I'm going to get out this. Okay. Can you actually? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, I see that. Oh, okay. Welcome to Introduction to Philosophy. First of all, I see that there are some people joining this course, joining this class on Zoom. Okay, those of you out there in Zoom, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. At least I can.
Okay, thank you. Just so you know, you probably already know this, but in case you don't, you can also use the reactions tab on the bottom to, to do a thumbs up or whatever. Okay, so let me just get a couple of things in order on the, and then we'll get started. Okay, so first order of business is to pay attendance. So you guys sitting at the back here, can you see what I just wrote on the board? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, if you are attending this class remotely from from Zoom, I'm going to give you the attendance code for today, and then I'll tell you what to do. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, excuse me. Okay, those of you out there in Zoom, Patricia and Sabine, can you see the student password that I just flashed or shared on the screen?
I can see it.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so here's how you, thank you. So here's how you take attendance. This is the, okay, so please note the attendance password first, and then I'll walk you through how to do this. Okay, so hold on a second. Okay, so this is the course Moodle page. So on the course Moodle page, you will see this thing called, you'll see this thing, these two icons, attendance and attendance for those attending class remotely. So I need you to get onto your device, whether it's a computer or a phone. Get onto your device, go on the course Moodle page, and then click on attendance if you're attending class here in person. Otherwise, click on attendance for those attending class remotely if you are in Zoom. So what I need you to do is click on either of these, whichever is applicable to you. And then once you click on it, something will prompt you. Something will prompt you for the password, and enter the password, which is the one I just gave you. Enter the password, and then the system will mark you as present. Okay, go ahead and let's go ahead and take, let's go ahead and take a couple of minutes to do that. Yeah, so if you are in class, the password is 5BMPSL. If you are taking the class remotely, if you are attending class remotely, it is HJTOG7.
It says my attendance has already been submitted.
Sorry?
It says my attendance has already been submitted.
Oh. So you didn't even get a chance to enter a password?
I did enter the password. I said present, so did the password, and then said it's already submitted.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how that happened. Should I ask why?
I don't really know why. Let me just, let me just check. Let me just check online to make sure that your attendance is you're actually marked as present. Hold on a second. What is your name?
Sayer Thomas.
Okay. Thomas. Did you say Thomas? Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe it's the next one. Maybe it's the next page. How do I get into the next page? Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, it says you are present.
Okay.
So, problem solved. Okay, is it possible to drink water through this thing? Hold on a second. Okay. Have all those of you who are here in person, are you successful? Have you been successful in taking attendance? Thank you. Okay. Let's see. What about those of you? Those of you in the Zoom land. How many? Hold on. Sorry, my screen is all over the place. Why is this so annoying? Okay. Yeah, those of you in Zoom land, have you been successful in taking attendance? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so okay, here's the deal. So throughout today's class, I'm kind of old school. I like writing stuff on surfaces, in this case, the whiteboard. So if you are out there in Zoom, you might not be able to see what I'm writing on the whiteboard. Don't worry too much about it. Oh, password again. Okay. What was the password again? Okay. It is HJTOG7. Okay. By the way, maybe it's probably a good idea for me to assign somebody to help me to look at the screen. What is your name? Noel. Okay. Yeah. Can you can you help me to look at the screen from time to time? So in case somebody has a question and I'm not looking, you will be able to bring my attention to it. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So I'm going to be writing on the board. I'm going to be writing on the whiteboard quite often throughout the course of today's class and subsequent classes. if you're out there in Zoom, you might not be able to see what I'm writing on the whiteboard. Don't worry about it because I plan to take pictures. I'm going to be taking pictures of the whiteboard, you know, at the end of class. So you will be out, and then I'll post the pictures on the Course Moodle site. So you'll be able to review whatever I wrote on the whiteboard at your own leisure. Okay, so that's that. So don't worry too much if you can't see the whiteboard immediately. Okay, I'm going to erase this. Okay, first things first. Today is the first day of class, so you know you will go through some things that are fairly routine, such as going over the syllabus and a few other things. So I don't know if I don't know if we'll actually get around to talking about you know, philosophy today, but we'll see. So first things first. We are all here for Field 1101 Intro to Philosophy, right? Okay, good. Okay, so just to be sure we are not in the wrong place. Okay, so let's see. Let me start by saying a few things, maybe saying a couple of things about myself. So my full name is Jing-Yi Nobel Ang. You know, this is the Jing-Yi is the first name, Nobel is the middle name, and Ang is the last name. Sometimes, depending on where you see my name, sometimes the middle name might get omitted, and it will just be Jing-Yi Ang. Sometimes, sometimes among my friends I go by Nobel, so you could see that too. I've also received mail which addressed me as Jing-Yi Nobel in quotation marks. I'm not entirely sure why they would do that. Perhaps they think it's a nickname or something. Anyway, so I just want to be sure, that all of these different permutations of my name, they all refer to the same person. Okay, so hope that clears up a couple of things. Let's see. Okay. So I should say probably a couple more things about myself. Okay, so I came to ISU in 2013. So I've been here for 7 years now. Originally, I was born and grew up in Singapore, if you know where that is. I came to this country in 2001 to go to school. I attended the University of Florida. Ended up spending a lot of time there. I got both my master's and my PhD from there. And then, speaking of PhD, as I mentioned, that all of these are different ways of addressing me. Since I'm kind of old-fashioned and pompous, for the purposes of this class, you should address me as Dr. Ang. Okay. Okay, so I spent a number of years in Florida, and then I graduated from the University of Florida. And what happened after that? Oh yeah, and then I taught for a couple of years at a couple of different universities in the Midwest. Spent a year in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then 2 years in Minnesota, and then I came here. So. Okay, so basically that's the short version of who I am and what my life story is. Perhaps you will learn more about me as the semester goes on. I don't know. Okay, so it's good that we're all here. Let's see. Since we live in pretty unusual times. This is my first time teaching in the Bengal cafe. With a face shield and facing a bunch of people with face masks. So but perhaps I should say a few things. So if you go online on the course, on the ISU website, you will find this thing called the Bengal Pledge. It's basically, you know what? I'm just going to put it out real quick so we can all look at it together. It's basically a series of statements that we commit to in order to keep ourselves safe in this time. Hold on a second. Okay, how do I get there? Okay, so as I was saying, you may already have read this. So if so, please excuse me. But I just think it's useful to kind of go over this for those of us who haven't. So there are three components in the Bengal pledge. We pledge to protect yourself, protect other people, other Bengals, and protect the campus community. So this okay, so yeah, we should monitor for symptoms of COVID-19 and report to a medical professional if you experience the following: fever of 100.4 the degrees Fahrenheit or higher, a dry cough, difficulty breathing, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, dry or loss of taste or smell. Please wash your hands often with soap and water or use hand sanitizer. Avoid crowded activities or social gatherings where face coverings are not worn or physical distancing is not possible. Now, this applies. I would say this applies to both on-campus and off-campus activities. Please try to avoid crowded activities off campus where social distancing is not possible, and where face coverings are not being worn. Protect other people as well. So wear an appropriate face covering and follow guidance as directed by the university. Maintain social distancing of 6 feet when on campus. Stay home if you feel ill or after potential exposure to someone who is ill or has tested positive for COVID. Please look out for others and encourage their continued commitment to the Bengal Pledge. And thirdly, protect the campus community. So please keep your clothing, belongings, and personal spaces and shared common spaces clean. Report any symptoms or COVID-19 exposure and participate in testing and contact tracing as applicable and required. Follow medical guidance and isolate for the required amount of time. If you were to test positive for COVID or have exposure to somebody who has tested positive. Carefully observe instructional signs and follow university directions. Okay, so please do that, and keep each other safe. Okay, all right. So that's that, and today being the first day of class, I'm going to say a few things. Look at the course syllabus and say a few things. So let me just pull up the course syllabus. Okay. Okay, so this is the syllabus for this course. The first page, most of the first page is fairly, sorry. So most of the first page is fairly straightforward. It's a bunch of information about who I am and where the course meets and stuff like that. There is also a bunch of course goals. Please have a look at them by yourself. I'm not going to go through them. There is a required text for this course, and it is introducing philosophy. It looks like this, except that your copy is probably in better shape than mine. Okay, so please, we're going to be using that pretty often in the course. So please, you get that from the ISU bookstore if you haven't already done so. In addition, I'll be posting some additional readings as well as notes on the course Moodle website. So please check that regularly for details. Okay, I should also talk about the in-class writing. The course assignments. Okay, so basically, the course assignments are actually pretty straightforward. There are a couple of course assignments in this course. There is first there is the in-class writing assignments. So I'm going to walk away from the screen a little bit because I feel a little bit claustrophobic over there. Okay, so course assignments. In-class writing assignments. You probably already know that this is going to be a somewhat shorter semester than your usual fall semester. The plan is to get all the classroom teaching done by November 24th, which is the Tuesday directly before Thanksgiving break. So November 24th will be the last day that we meet as a class, and then after that will be finals week. There is no finals for this class. Look, I suppose that's good news. So in place of that, I'm going to have you guys do do a constant series of in-class writing assignments. There are actually a total of 4 in-class writing assignments in this class. So you can expect that generally about every 3 weeks or so, there will be an in-class writing assignment. Okay, so the way this works is this. Okay, it works slightly differently if you are taking the course remotely from Moodle. From Zoom. So I'll get to that later. But if you are in class, this is how. If you are in class in person, this is how it works. So about a week before the in-class writing assignment, I'm going to be posting some questions for the writing assignment on Moodle. And basically what you see is what you get. Those questions will be the exact questions that will appear that will appear on the day of the in-class writing assignment. Okay, so you will have a week to study up, and prepare your responses to those questions on your own. And then on the day of the in-class writing assignment, you will come to class and write your responses to those questions on a piece of paper using a pen. I much prefer pen to pencil. Okay, so write your answers. So you will write your answers to those questions on a piece of paper. I'll give you the entire class period to do that, and then once you are done, you can leave. So do not turn in the piece of paper to me. Don't walk up to me and turn in the piece of paper to me because social distancing. So what I would like you to do is that when you have finished writing your answers, leave the paper on the desk, on your desk, and then you're good to go. And at the end of class, I will come up and collect the piece of paper, and then I will, wash my hands to get rid of any possible pathogens. And okay, so that's the plan. It's a closed book exam. I mean, not exam. Sorry, assignment. It's a closed book assignment. So you have an entire week to prepare your responses to those questions. But when you are writing out the response to those questions in class, it is closed book. So you're not allowed to look at the textbook or notes or any materials online. So just remember it's closed book. You're not allowed to look at anything when you're writing up the response. Okay, if you are taking this course from Zoom, it's slightly different. Instead of writing it out on a piece of paper, I will have you write it out. I will have you type out the response to those questions into a Word document. Or if you want, you can also type it out into the body of the email, and then send me the document or the email when you are done. For the purposes of proctoring, if you are taking this assignment from Zoom, on the day that you're doing this assignment, you will have to turn your video on so I can see you and make sure that you're not up to any mischief. Okay, so that's that. So remember, there are going to be 4 in-class writing assignments, and the dates are all there. The first one is on September 1st, which means that sometime towards the end of this month, I'll be posting the questions on Moodle, so you can prepare them. Okay, let's see. The second kind of kind of writing assignment is actually pretty straightforward. It's a movie screening and discussion. I like watching movies, and I also like watching movies with people and getting them to answer questions about those movies. Sometime in the middle of the semester, I'll be getting you to watch this movie called Parasite. And what happens is, we'll be actually watching the movie in class. We'll be devoting it's a somewhat long movie, so we are devoting 2 class periods to it. And then sometime, once we have, when we have finished watching the movie in the second class period, I will post some questions to you, and then I'll have you answer those questions, and you will get credit for it. Traditionally, traditionally I would do these discussions by breaking people up into groups. But I have yet to, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to break up an in-class, I don't know how to break up an in-person class into groups without violating social distancing. So I don't, I'm still trying to work that part. I'm still trying to figure that part out. If you guys have any ideas, please feel free to suggest. But as it is, we have a few weeks to kind of work. I have a few weeks to figure out a solution to this quandary. So I'll solve it when I get there. Okay. So oh, sorry, lost my train of thought. Oh, the movie. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you have heard of this movie, but it's a really interesting movie. Without giving away too much, I would say that it starts out feeling like a comedy, but then somewhere in the middle of the movie, it suddenly becomes this suspense thriller. So it's pretty interesting. Okay, so we'll get to the movie when we get to it. Okay, so basically, these are the two major in-class assignments, the two kinds of in-class assignments. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to take some time to talk about general expectations as well. Okay, but before I do that, any questions, thoughts, comments? Okay, very good. Okay, if you, so the thing is this, right? There is something, philosophy. Philosophy originally was, one of the first philosophers in the Western tradition was Socrates, and the way Socrates did philosophy was that he would sit in a market square and basically talk, pose questions, and have conversations with anybody who would engage him. And so philosophy originally was something that was supposed to be done in a sort of conversational and dialogical manner. So in that sense, there is something a little bit artificial about doing philosophy in this manner. Where I'm just where there's this one guy standing at the front of a lecture room or class, talking to the rest of the people. So in order to make philosophy more like philosophy, I would encourage you to maybe raise your hand if something were to occur to you. I encourage you to raise your hand and gently interrupt me if something were to occur to you as I'm speaking. And this applies throughout the semester. When I see your hand, either in real life or on Zoom, I will try to finish my sentence and get to you as soon as I can. Okay, so please feel free to interrupt me by raising your hand if anything occurs to you, and that way, we can maybe get kind of get to what you are thinking, and then we can let your thinking shape the process of thinking. And so I think that's a kind of a more natural way of doing philosophy. Okay, so please keep that in mind. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand at any time during the class. Okay. General expectations. Okay. Please come to class prepared. This means having done all of the readings for the day, bringing the relevant text view, and coming ready to stay awake and engage for the entire class period. Okay, so here's the thing. I think generally for most weeks, the readings for this class is not horribly a lot. I think it's probably safe to say that for most weeks, I probably don't assign more than 30 pages a week. Okay, but the reading schedule is actually, the schedule of readings is actually on the last 2 pages of the syllabus. So for most weeks, I generally do not assign many pages. So for most weeks, I would much expect you, and I much expect you to have done the readings for that week before coming to the first class of the week, which is Tuesday. But during those weeks where I actually assign more readings, like more pages, I will try to, I will try to give you a heads up, maybe tell you which pages I expect you to read for Tuesday and which pages I expect you to read for Thursday. That way, you can kind of read in a more focused manner. So the reason why, I keep wanting to scratch my head. Okay. The reason why the reason why I generally do not assign, try not to assign too many pages in 1 week is because, philosophy, reading philosophy is it's not an easy thing to do. It's a lot of the readings, some of the readings is kind of dense and difficult. Okay, so why is it dense and difficult and not, and not undense and not difficult? The reason, there are a couple of reasons. The first reason is that, maybe some of the philosophy some of the philosophers that we're going to read are actually translated from a language that is not English. So it may be that the translation is not very good. So when it's translated into English, it comes across as being kind of clunky and awkward. That might be a reason. Another possible reason, which I think is very likely, is that most of the time when people write philosophy, they are kind of writing to a rather specialized audience. They're usually responding to to other philosophers who have come before them. So what happens is that if I'm responding to, if I'm responding to a philosopher who has come before me in my writing, then I tend to use the terms that that person has invented to explain certain things. So if you're kind of jumping in from the outside and trying to make sense of what's going on, then you'll be faced with quite a lot of jargon and stuff that seems rather dense and obtuse. So yeah, a lot of the density comes from the fact that philosophers, they generally tend to kind of speak to each other rather than to a general audience. So part of my job as a teacher of philosophy is to hopefully help you to get clear about that, unpack all this density, and get something good and useful out of the discussion. So I have several ways of doing that. One way would be sometimes I would just simply read directly from the text and then take some time to kind of explain what is going on in the text, unpack what is going on in the text. I also have, if you look at the Course Moodle page, I've already posted some notes, and many of these notes are actually reconstructions or breakdowns of certain things that are in the text. So I kind of present them. Sometimes, very often, I'll present what's going on in the text in a point form. So hopefully that will help you also to kind of make what is dense less dense. Okay, so right. So that's that. So that's kind of why I generally try, if possible, not to assign too many pages for in a philosophy read for a particular week, because the readings are not the easiest thing in the world to read, and it's probably better to read a few pages and read it and get something out of it and read it well than to read a lot and not read it well. So let's see. I was still talking about general expectations. So there is the readings. Yes, please practice academic honesty. Do not cheat. Use of phones and other electronic devices. Okay, so I have no objections to you bringing your phone to class. In fact, you probably will need it. If you don't have a laptop, right, you might need it to take attendance or whatever. So I don't have any objections to that. I don't have any objections to you glancing at your phone from time to time to tell the time. That's cool. Because I do that too. What I do have an objection to is if you look at your phone and start checking out your own Facebook feed or somebody else's Facebook or Instagram feed, or look at pictures. What else do people do on Facebook? Oh, TikTok. Does TikTok still exist? Okay, so the Chinese, because the last, I think a few weeks ago, our president issued some kind of executive order saying that they have a certain number of days to sell TikTok or something. Okay, but anyway, sorry, that was a digression. Okay, so anyway, I do have problems if you, I will have a problem if you use the phone to look at stuff on TikTok or videos of cute animals. I will have a problem with that. So if you are, hopefully that doesn't happen. But if class gets, if you feel that class is boring and you're not following what I'm saying, you could try asking me a question, or you could try doing other things like maybe doodling your notebook, like if you are starting to lose consciousness, or maybe I don't know, stare at some interesting part of the room and look like you are deep in thought. Any one of those things are fine. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, phones are okay. Just don't stare at them. Try not to do not stare at them for more than 5 seconds. Okay, so let's see what else. Okay, so there is a course model site for this course, but you already know that. There is okay, the attendance policy is it's kind of in flux right now, I would say. So I am required to take attendance for all classes because, well, because of COVID, we might need to do contact tracing or stuff like that. So I am required to do that for those purposes. Traditionally, in past semesters, I will allow people to have up to 4 discretionary absences from class. In other words, you are allowed to be absent from class for up to 4 times throughout the semester without needing any reason. Shit happens, right? Maybe your car breaks down, maybe your pet gets sick, whatever, right? So those I think 4 absences are probably enough to account for those unforeseen happenings. If you traditionally, if you're absent for more than 4 times, you will lose 1 point for every single time that you're absent after the 4th time. But again, these are unusual times that we live in. So if you need to be absent from class for more than 4 times for whatever reason, and you kind of see it coming, please maybe talk to me about it, and we can try to work out something. By the way, when I say absent from class, I mean absent both in person and on Zoom. So I mean, so if you can't come to class physically for whatever reason on a particular day and you Zoom in, that still counts as being present. Okay, so did I cover attendance? Okay, I did. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so and then there is the grading policy, and then on the last couple of pages of the syllabus, there is the reading schedule. Please have a look at it. There is actually something else on the course model side. Hold on a second. So let me just get back to the course model side. Okay, so on the course model side, there is actually this other document called Course Policies and Resources, and those are resources that you might find to be useful, like the contact information for the disabilities resource center, and how to get in touch with IT resources and the library and stuff like that. So please have a look at that on your own. Okay. Okay, very good. Pause for a second. Any questions, thoughts, comments? Okay, no. Okay, that's good. Okay, I think I'm going to spend a few minutes. Saying a few things about what philosophy is, and then and then we'll carry on this thing on Thursday. Okay, so philosophy. Let's see, philosophy. Okay, please bear with me. I have to keep reminding myself to take pictures of the whiteboard, so I'm going to just do that real quick. Okay, philosophy. Who among you, how many of you are taking a philosophy class for the first time ever in your life? Okay, there is no penalty for this, so please don't be ashamed. Can you raise your hand a bit higher? Okay, thank you. So it seems that most of you, I'm guessing you have taken a philosophy class before. Okay, was it here or some other place? Oh, okay, cool. What did you think of the experience? Sorry. Very interesting. Okay, cool. I noticed that you didn't raise your hand either. No, the guy with the black gray shirt and glasses. Yeah. Have you taken a philosophy class before? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so I guess maybe I should try to start by saying a couple of things about what philosophy is. It's actually not the easiest thing to try to explain. But okay, let's try it. So let's start from the word itself, philosophy. Okay, so philosophy is actually, it's actually a combination of two Greek words, philo and sophia. Sophia means wisdom, and philo means love. Now, love, the love is a very interesting thing in the Greek language because I think the Greek language has like 6 words. I believe there's 6 different words for love. So philo is one of them. So when you love something in a philo way, when you philo something, it's a kind of like a it's a love that that is driven by a sort of a need for companionship, a need for, you can call it friendship. But the other words, okay, I recognize that this is a digression, but not all digressions are bad. So this is one word for love in Greek. The other words that are also love in Greek is eros, agape. This is embarrassing. I can't remember what the other two are. Hold on a second. Eros, agape, philo, perhaps the other 3 will come to me in a minute. But let me just say a little bit about the rest first. So eros, and the word erotic comes from eros. So eros tends to refer to love of a nature that is so intense and passionate that the lover has an urge to want to join and be one with the beloved. So which is why in our modern context, when we talk about erotic love, we usually mean something sexual. Agape is a love that is more of it's a love that is kind of broader, more universal. So so if you are somebody who professes to love all human beings, and you spend a lot of time helping out in the community and doing work that benefit other people, like volunteer work, then we can say that your love is agape. Okay. I didn't come in here today preparing to talk about love, so maybe you can forgive me or you remember the other thing.
Wasn't Buddhist one of them?
Buddhist, yeah. Okay, you probably looked it up online. What are the other two?
Buddhist, Pragma and Claudia.
Pragma, and what's the other one?
Claudia.
Oh, Claudia, okay. Okay, Lotus. Lotus is you know, I think more or less that will translate into something like play. So there is so if you love something in the Lotus kind of way, then you love it in a kind of playful kind of way. Pragma, it's a love that is driven by pragmatic concerns, and Claudia. Okay, I promise to, I promise to go do some homework and come back to you about this because this is
I think Claudia is the love of yourself.
Okay, that makes sense because if you can break Claudia into below, which is again love, and then the other one is audio or auto, which means self. So self-love. That is really interesting. I guess my question, one question that pops up in my head right now is this self-love something that is, kind of narcissistic in nature, or is it something that is more healthy? I mean, I do love myself. I love myself enough to take care of myself and not make sure I don't do anything self-destructive. But there is a difference between that kind of self-love and the kind of self-love that becomes narcissistic. Whatever you're looking at, does it say which kind of love it is?
It says the love of the self, or the regard for one's own happiness.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. As I said, I'll try to find some time to read about this more. I was thinking about a certain thought about Ludus just came to mind. But it's okay. I think Ludus basically refers to a kind of playful kind of love. Now, so coming back to philosophy, so to do philosophy, right? To do philosophy is to engage in a love of wisdom, is to be a friend to wisdom. So I guess very broadly speaking, if you think about it in that way, then to do philosophy is to do philosophy is to have a sort of healthy, is to have a healthy curiosity for how things work, for knowledge. So then, okay, if philosophy is simply a curiosity of how things work, then maybe you will ask, how is philosophy different from science, or how is it different from science, or from how is it different from science or carpentry or any of the things that we do as human beings? Because in doing science, you are motivated by curiosity, and you can also argue that if you are participating in the trades like carpentry, perhaps there is a certain amount of curiosity involved as well in order to be a good carpenter or a good craftsman. So how is the philosophy different from any of those things? The answer is that, okay, I'll give you the short answer first, and then we can maybe go into the long answer. The short answer is that philosophy is what makes those things possible. originally physics was called natural philosophy, because it is the love of knowledge that is directed to finding out things about the natural world. So physics was called natural philosophy, um, and so you can say that philosophy basically, philosophy what makes you know is what makes the pursuit of knowledge possible. I just realized that I forgot to take a picture of this, but okay. This brings to mind one person. There is a German philosopher by the name of Paul Jaspers. He basically believes that there are three things or three sources that there are three sources of philosophy. In other words, there are three things in a human life that make philosophy possible. And the three things are wonder, or rather the sense of wonder, doubt, and a search for meaning. Okay, so why these three? So if you look at the history of human thought, you will see that the first philosophers were people who were actually scientists. They would be more properly considered to be scientists by today's standards, because Aristotle, for example, he didn't just write works about about all kinds about thinking. He was also very curious about the workings of plants and animals and all that. So he was very much he was also a biologist. And then some of the early philosophers were also astronomers. They were interested in the movement of the stars and all that. So in order for philosophy to get off the ground, people need to have a sense of people need to have a sense of wonder. People need to have a sense of wonder. They need to have a sense of, why are things this way rather than some other way, and they try to find explanation for it. They try to, in other words, they try to fulfill or satisfy their desire to know. This is the line from Aristotle. All men by nature desire to know. So the idea is that we humans, besides being, we're not just beings that satisfy our natural needs. We don't just satisfy our needs for. We're not just beings that satisfy our needs for food, shelter, and all those basic needs. We also have desires for things. We also have certain desires that cannot be fulfilled by satisfying those basic needs. And people like Aristotle will argue that our one basic desire that we have is the desire to know, and the desire to know gives rise to this sense of wonder, this sense of trying to find out why things are this way rather than some other way. So, so the sense of wonder is the first thing that gives rise to to philosophy. But then once you have spent enough time investigating the world, once you have spent enough time finding out why things are the way they are, then you start to ask yourself another question, and that is that how can I really be sure? How can I really be sure that I know what I think I know? I mean, if you think about it, right? Almost everything that I know comes to me through my five senses. I see things. I see things and investigate things with my five senses, and then I formulate certain principles and rules and all that to try to make sense of all the things that I see. But how can I really be sure? I mean, how can I really be sure that that what I'm getting through my senses are reliable? Um, there's this really bad philosophy joke that some of you may have heard. The one that's that joke. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody is around to hear it or see it, how do you know they actually fell? Have you heard that before? Okay, so but that is it's a bit cheesy, but it kind of gets at what we are talking about without. The idea is this, right? If everything I am seeing, if everything I know comes to me from my five senses, then first, how can I be sure that my senses are reliable? I mean, sometimes my eyes, when I'm very tired, for example, I might start seeing things that are not there. So I can't really be sure that my eyes actually, my senses are always reliable. And secondly, how can I be sure that things will continue to exist when I'm not looking at them, right? If I'm, I might think that there's a whiteboard behind me, but okay, so I turn around and say, okay, whiteboard, very good. But then what if I turn around? Does the whiteboard continue to exist? Yes. I mean, maybe you will say yes because you are looking at it right now. But what if all of us are turning around? I mean, imagine, right? If there is okay, I don't know if there is a God, but imagine there's a God. Okay, imagine there's a God that is running the universe and making things happen. Wouldn't it be more energy? Wouldn't it be more energy efficient for this God to kind of just switch things off and put them out of existence when we're not looking at them? So maybe God is thinking, look, if nobody is looking at the whiteboard, why should I waste energy to keep it in existence, right? Why don't I just switch off the whiteboard? Switch off the whiteboard when nobody is looking at it. It's kind of more energy efficient, right? Like how nowadays you have these energy saving rooms where if you're not in it, the light just turn off. So maybe keeping the whiteboard in existence is kind of like keeping the lights on. Maybe there's no reason to keep the whiteboard in existence when nobody is looking at it or using it. But if that is possible, right? If that is even possible, then doubt starts to creep in. Because if the whiteboard is, if I cannot be sure that the whiteboard is something that actually continues to exist when I'm not looking at it, then does the whiteboard really exist? So doubt. So I think this doubt is very, is a very key, very important part of philosophy, because it turns out that we are not just beings. We are not just beings that are capable of gathering information about the world through our senses. We are also beings that are capable of asking some basic questions about what is the nature of knowledge, and things like that. Finally, if you, as a human being, if you have been around long enough, you start to observe that you won't be around forever. You start to observe people who are older than you, who have been, who have lived life longer than you. You start to realize that after a while, people grow old and their faculties start to decline, and then they die. So you realize that after a while, you realize that life is finite. The time you have to, the time you won't be a living, thinking being forever. One day you will cease to be. One day you will cease to be. Once you realize that life is finite, you also realize at the same time that you are a very fragile and vulnerable being. Lots of things in this world can cause you to suddenly not exist. In the face of my fragility, in the face of my fragility, and in the face of my finiteness, my finitude, if I'm a fragile and finite being, then why? Then what is the point of my being around? I mean, I was born, I got to spend a few good years learning about stuff, having fun experiences. and then I start growing older, and life becomes a little bit less fun, because I have all these health issues to take care of, and then finally I die. So, what is the point of being on this planet for just a certain number of years, when our experiences will ultimately be taken away from us by death. So what is the meaning of this finite existence, of this finite and very fragile existence? Why are we alive for only this short time, as opposed to forever or not at all? If I knew the answer to this question, I won't be standing here. But to give you the second best, or the best thing would be if I had the answer, and I'll give you the answer, and all of you will be very happy. But I don't have that, so I'll give you what I think is the second best. The second best thing is that that's why we do philosophy. That's what philosophy is for. At the very least, well, I don't know. At the very least, right? At the very least, if you don't have a solution to your finitude, if you don't have a solution to your finitude, or to your fragility, maybe the next best thing is to at least be constantly aware, know that you're fragile, and finite, and let that inform the rest of your life. One of the things that we want to talk about this week is the difference between philosophy and religion. Maybe, right? Maybe one big difference between philosophy and religion is that religion tries to give an answer to all three questions. In particular, religion professes to give an answer to number 3, right? I mean, if I were to meet somebody who believes in God, and I were to ask the question I just asked just now, which is that, what is the purpose of my being around as a finite being, who's also fragile? I mean, why? And somebody who believes in God will probably tell me something like, this is all part of God's plan. God has a plan for bringing you into this world for only a certain number of years, because He wants you to, I don't know, do something. I'm not qualified to tell you what that something is, but do something. God has a plan. You're brought into this world for maybe a mission or something. And then once you have fulfilled the mission, fulfilled that part of the plan, then you die. So religion basically tries to give you a definite answer to this question to this question. Philosophy. Philosophy, on the other hand, is a little bit more useless, because it doesn't really give you the answer. Instead, philosophy says, look, instead of giving ourselves this answer, by saying that there's a God that gives you all these things, that there's a God that brought you into this world and asked you to fulfill this purpose. Why don't we try holding off on the answer? Ask ourselves, why don't you ask yourself, what if there is no God? What if there is nobody that brought you into this world for a purpose? If there is nobody that brought you into this world for a purpose, and you are a totally finite and fragile being, can your life still have value? Can your life still have meaning? Is it still worth chugging along every day and and trying to get by? I feel that the answer is probably yes, right? Because I don't know how many of you believe in God, and I don't really have to know. But I suspect that some of you, at least some of you here, don't believe in God. And even if you don't believe in God, you still have been getting by, right? You still have been living your life, doing the things that you do. So life must be worth living, even if there is nobody out there to give you a plan for your life. Okay, so but why is it worth living? I mean, any thoughts about this? Okay, sorry, what's the question? Okay, question is, if there is no God to, I don't know, up there or out there, if there is no God up there or out there to give your life meaning, to give you a sense of, give you a purpose in life, then why are you still alive? I mean, why don't you just kill yourself? I'm sorry. Why are you still alive? Why? I mean, isn't it really a drag? I mean, isn't it a drag to get up late in the morning, find things to do, come to school, go to all these boring classes and get a degree. And then after you get a degree, you got to like, what else do you do? I don't know, you got to get a job, and then you got to get married, and then try to have children. Isn't it? That's a lot of work, isn't it? I mean, if all of this, right, if at the end of all of this, your body just decomposes, you just become a stack of carbon molecules, inert carbon molecules, that seems a lot of work just to get to the end point. Why? Okay, why?
Because it's fun. Because the last thing you're going to experience is terrible or not. It should be something because that's going to happen whether or not you do or do not.
Tom, I know your name is Thomas, right? Sorry? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let me think about it for a second. What is your name?
Correct.
Bracken? Okay.
Kind of almost off that. It's like if you don't have a choice, that I mean, you're kind of against your own will, and so if you're just here, might as well do what you can because you're gonna die. So, but you do something with it, even if it has no meaning.
Yeah. So that's a good point, and that's a good point too. But here's the thing, right? So if there was a God, right, things would be kind of easier because then you know what the plan is. You just carry it out. But if there is no God, I guess my question is, if there is no God, then how do you know that? How do you know that you're carrying out a good plan in your life rather than a bad plan?
We all know what's right and wrong. You just know. I don't know. I mean, you don't think that people don't know what's right and wrong?
On a good day, I would agree with you.
Well, I mean, they know. It doesn't mean they're gonna do right. They care less. Either way, people know what's right and wrong.
You might get something. Yeah. Okay. What is your name? Jacob.
We know that doing something with our finite life is worth something because we've seen it from previous humans, our ancestors, other people in society. We see them succeed, and they seem to have a happy life. So why not follow along?
Yeah. Right. Following the example of the ancestors, the role models, and all that. And so I'm going to link whatever you just said with what you just said. The idea is that he said that people know what's right, and when he said that, I wasn't so sure. But then after I listened to you, I think, yeah, maybe people know what's right because they look at what their ancestors have done, and then it's kind of like the ancestors kind of blueprint for how to live a good life, and then you do it, and then you live the life. Yeah, I think.
So, like, hypothetically, hypothetically, if our ancestors anything had done something different, then that would be seen as right. Kind of in different societies, you'll see, doing one thing is seen as, wrong, but then you go to like another country and doing the same thing is seen as respectful. And so that is just based on how you grew up to see what's right and what's wrong. At least in my mind, there's no ultimate right or wrong.
That worries me a little bit. I mean, it's been a worry that affected my kids for a while now, but now we brought it up. Okay, so Jacob said that you kind of have a sense of what is right by looking what your ancestors have done, and then you kind of use that as a kind of role model or blueprint. Okay, let me give you my own experience. So you guys probably don't know this, but many Chinese people are quite racist. When I was growing up, right, this was in Singapore, and I'm Chinese by ethnicity. People would tell me stuff like, my older relatives would tell me stuff like, you shouldn't be friends with people who are not from your race, especially not white people, because white people cannot be trusted. Sorry, I know this is a horrible thing to say, but that's what they tell me. And these older relatives, right? They have lived what were pretty successful life by conventional standards. They make quite a bit of money. They seem to be living good lives and successful. So if you're a kid like I was, and you listen to them, and you think, oh, okay, this guy, he's lived a pretty successful life. He says that white people are not to be trusted. Don't be friends with white people. I think it's probably right. So don't be friends with white people. What am I trying to say? Okay, I guess what I'm trying to say is that in many cultures around the world, many cultures around the world have a kind of built-in ethnocentrism. There's this kind of built-in hostility towards cultures that are foreign to them. So if you were to follow the example of your ancestors and and try to live a life using their standards, then you also probably grow up to be an ethnocentric and racist person. I don't know. I mean, is that good? So the thing is this, right? The thing is that, okay, so if you say that people know what is right and wrong, and if people get their ideas of what is right and wrong from the elders or from the parents, then what if, what if their elders or parents have certain views, like ethnocentrism, that is, I don't know, I don't think it's a good thing to be ethnocentric. Then what? Then what do you do?
What?
Okay. Sorry, I'm not speaking my question very clearly. My question is that, if you say that people know what is right and wrong, but if most of the knowledge that you know about right and wrong comes from your elders, and if then it seems that sometimes the information, the beliefs about right and wrong that we get from our culture or from our elders are not very are probably wrong beliefs, right? Like racism. So the question is, sorry, I'm not very good at asking questions sometimes, but maybe the question is, as a person who's trying to understand the world, who's trying to understand how to live in the world, what is the best place? Where is the best place for me to get a reliable beliefs about what is right and wrong? Okay, you at the back, we have not heard of you.
Isn't it like the only way to really like find out from like things about the world is to like, teach yourself about the world, so that you don't have anybody else's beliefs being put into you.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds about right. I mean, I would agree with that. It's just, my concern is that if I grew up, believing that, believing that white people, for example, are not to be trusted, then I would probably try to do things. No, I probably wouldn't even. I probably wouldn't even be here, right? Because I'll try to avoid places where lots of white people congregate, and then I will probably live a life. I'll try to live a life where I don't have to deal with white people a lot. Deal with people that I don't like. So then I'll end up basically forming, I'll end up living a life in which I'm surrounded by people who agree with me. That white people are not to be trusted. So then I am still learning stuff, but I'm not, I am not putting myself in places where I can meet people who disagree with me.
One little thing is, if like a good parent or something would kind of teach you to have that doubt of what you know, you can be thinking of one thing, but then have some kind of what if this is wrong? You can kind of explore both sides and figure out what it is for you.
Yeah.
Even if you grew up as being raised to be a no, but then being taught that what if I think this is right, but then what if hypothetically if it's wrong, then how would that play out in the physical side?
Yeah, so maybe it's possible to sort of continually challenge your beliefs by consciously exposing yourself to beliefs that are different from what you grew up with. Yeah. Okay. I do realize that it's almost 2:50. Okay. So for Thursday, I would like you to read. Have a look at page 120, 121. I think it's 121. 121 to 127 of the textbook. There are a couple of articles in there about the difference between philosophy and religion. And then we'll pick it up again. We'll pick up the conversation again on Thursday. Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to do the time.
Okay. Okay, the attendance, right? What is your name? Keenan. Okay. Actually, I should ask you, what is your last name?
Matal.
Oh, okay. Found it. Okay. Thanks.
You have to, I haven't got online yet. I'm gonna do all this tonight, but you have to go in there and click your name that you were here.
Oh, for attendance?
Yeah.
I think you came in a few minutes later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was I can just tell you right now. So what happens is that okay, first actually I'll just take your attendance first, and then I'll tell you how to do it.
I'll bring my laptop in on Thursday and I'll do everything all good.
Okay, great.
Ryan Fisher.
Oh, okay. So this thing is a strange computer. Okay, Fisher. Okay, so can you see the screen from where I am?
Yeah.
Okay, so what needs to happen is that
What do you do? Go into students, then you go to my courses, and then it'll just all pop up.
yeah, so go to this, go to this page, which is the
Since I've been trying to do it on here, but I can't, if this is, I'll do it when I get home, but
yeah. Yeah, but so when you get to this page, click on attendance, and then, okay, this is so what happens is that at the beginning of every class, I'll give you a password for attendance. For today, the password was this. And then what happens is that from your end, when you click on attendance, it will prompt you for a password, and then you enter this password in, and then you will be present.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.